Yeah, hey, Mind12. It's been an awesome time all this while, from Mind 1 down to Mind 12. Last edition of Mind was not this, you know, I think that the vibe is a little more surreal this time, because that last Mind, when we were handling difficult emotions, we all were, in that, situation. And not to worry, even if you're still, experiencing your own difficult situation at this time, just go back to our YouTube channel. It's at Olurunke Oluwalere. You can catch up on the replay so that you get all the tips and everything that you need to handle difficult emotions. Today is Mind 12.0, and we're excited that God has brought us this far. We're grateful for everyone who is on the call and everyone who will join much later. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for being on time. So we kick off with this icebreaker, usually, like we usually do. I need us to drag out probably our notepads, our, pens, and writing materials, or whatever it is that you've got to scribble on. Right now, I need you to do a quick mind assessment. A quick mind assessment, yes. So the mind assessment would be for you to assess the state of your mind at this point before we begin. So you're assessing the state of your mind in relations to your emotions. What do you feel right now? What do you feel right now? If you feel elated, if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel stressed, if you feel angry, all those emotions, okay? We're kind of building up and starting off with our emotions vocabulary. So if you feel like whatever emotion you feel right now, scale it between 0 and 10. So we say that on the scale of 0 to 10, I feel this emotion. And so scale your emotion the way you feel right now. Once you scale it right now, 0 being the lowest that you feel and 10 being the highest. So just quickly do that right now. It's going to be a very short icebreaker for this morning. We're going to use it later so that when we all know where we are right now in the state of our mind, let me say on the platform of our minds, yes. So it will help us to better x-ray our minds, because we kick off on that note, and this is Mind 12, the mind x-ray. You're welcome again for everyone who will join and everyone who has joined. Thank you so much. So I'm going to start sharing my slides. Also, do let me know once you start seeing the slide. Right, it's going to be a process and a journey, as it always has been. So please let me know, give me a thumbs up as usual if you can see my slide. Can we all see my slide? Okay. Can we all see it? Can we all see it? I'm waiting for some feedback. If you can see it, let me know. Okay, thank you, Pastor Lida, again. Thank you so much. It means that we can go on right now. So mind, the mind x-ray. Mind, the mind x-ray. If you're just joining us, we did a little icebreaker before you came in, and that icebreaker is us scaling the state of our minds right now, what you feel right now in relation to your emotions. What do you feel right now? Scale it, and on the scale of 0 to 10, 0 being the lowest level of the emotion that you're feeling, and then 10 being the highest. We're going to use that brief assessment much later as we go on this journey. Thank you again for joining. We really appreciate you, and we do not take you for granted at all. So mind, the mind x-ray. What comes to mind when you see, the first time that you saw this topic? It's not new, and you may have heard about the word x-ray. What comes to mind? when you think about the word X-ray. We're going to be using, a series of, ideas and points from different school of thoughts this morning. And we're also going to be simplifying it. We're going to be breaking it down because in the school of emotions, we know that emotions are energy emotions. Your emotions they are not designed to be static. They are very fluid, like water. So they come and they go. It's as fluid, even much more fluid than water, because at least you can still, maybe decide to dam water, tap it up, bottle it, and all of that. You can do all of that with your emotions as well, but your emotions can be much more fleeting, just like air. The way the weather can change, in some certain part of the world is the same way your emotions can just, change and switch off on you. So in the school of emotions, we're laying that foundation now, that emotions are energy emotion. Your emotions are designed in a kinetic way to be able to flow with so much force and power. You may not know how powerful the emotions that you feel are right now, but when you start to experience them, in drips, in pieces, in bits, in little drops like that, you find out that your emotions has the power to splash onto every single thing that you do. So that's why the subject of emotions are very powerful. So on the Mind X-ray platform, we're saying that we're looking at our minds, under what we term as X-raying your thoughts, touchlighting it, if we're going to use that word, yes, pointing a beam at your emotions in the line of how your mind works and how it can affect every part of your life. Your emotions, if not properly x-rayed and assessed, can affect your spiritual life. And when I'm talking spirituality, I'm not talking about religion here. I'm talking about the totality of your being and the connection to your source, which is God. That's the very first point. So you must not lose touch of your spirituality, because on that, platform of your spirituality, if your mind is not properly x-rayed, you can just lose that source and that connection. So, and then if your mind x-ray is not properly done, you can also lose touch with every other aspect of life. So we're not going to start mentioning the different aspects of life. We decided to touch on that spirituality, because that's where it all begins. That's the source. That's the source. And spirituality is not, necessarily, about, how you do your religious activities and all of that. It's a form of it. However, if you do not properly watch what your mind is focusing on part time, and when we talk about part time, because we mentioned earlier that your emotions are fleeting, it's like in a millisecond, so many things can happen. And once it begins to happen within, it can affect the things that are without. When it begins to happen within, it can affect you, even your organs is as important as that. The state of your mind can determine the state of your physical health, the state of your spiritual health, the state of your finances, the state of every aspect of your life. So what is an X-ray? You see that, caution sign. That's the X-ray radiation normally, that we're used to, probably in the medical sector. And then that even when you're approaching an X-ray room, that you're approaching with caution, because there's so much radiation going on. There's so much in the air. There's so much in the atmosphere that you cannot begin to pick. So when you enter into an X-ray, we're talking basically now in medical terms. When you approach an X-ray room, you don't approach and just go in there unprepared. That's where it all starts from. The first point that we need to do in relation to our mindset is that you don't just allow things to go by. Nothing must pass you by without you picking it at one level of frequency or the other. So even if the weather wants to change, or even if the people around you, would want to influence you, even if so many things will go wrong, God has designed us in a way that we will first pick the atmosphere. And if you do not pick it, in time, you find out that so many things can just be, it will just be like a spiral effect. So you explore an X-ray with caution, because there's so much going on. When you're going in for an X-ray, I was opportuned, to go for an X-ray some few weeks ago, and already all the details before the X-ray was, it was as though, and I was just smiling, it was as though God was preparing, us for this particular day. And in that instant, I knew what, it was like a confirmation of what God was going to do, even today. Because right now, even on that mind, plane that you are on, in your mindset, you're thinking so many things. Probably you're thinking, oh, I need to get to work. You're thinking, oh, I've not finished some stuff. You're thinking, oh, I need to get to the children. You're thinking, oh, my business. You're thinking my finances. You're thinking, what is that state of your mind? So you approach this X-ray of your mind. And I'm not talking about you coming for Mind12 as the X-ray room now. No, I'm talking in relation to your mind. So you approach the X-raying of your mind with caution. One tip that can help is when you're approaching that X-ray level in your mind, and we're talking X-ray in parentheses now. When you're approaching that X-ray level in your mind, you don't just wake up and then you just pick up the mood that comes with the day. No, it is not supposed to be. When you're going for an X-ray, you call your spirit, your body and your soul to a conference all by yourself. And then it lets you know what you're going to be prepared for. Because according to the dictionary here, even from the slide, we can see that according to Cambridge English Dictionary, it says that X-ray is a type of radiation that can go through many solid substances, allowing hidden objects such as bones and organs in the body to be photographed. So when you're coming for an X-ray, even if you are well covered up, in the next instance, once you go in for the X-ray, you are as naked as you can be. So you don't approach an X-ray all tightened up. You're approaching an X-ray, of your mind with openness. That's the first point I need you to take note of after that spirituality. You approach an X-ray with a level of openness, ready for whatever it is that is supposed to be out in the open. Because even if you have not picked it at some point in time, you have not picked what is in the atmosphere for the day, when you're approaching that X-ray, which is something that you should do consciously and unconsciously per time until it becomes a part of you. When it becomes a part of you, something that you do unconsciously, without you even, it's just like when we learn all these behaviors, everything that we do, at the end of the day, when you start building your mastery level, you get to that place of unconscious, mastery, where as you're just going, you know that this is how it's supposed to be. It's just like you walking the path and the road towards your house. You don't need a map for that most times, except if you are new, to that terrain. However, when it's something that you'll be doing over and over again, you just go in the flow. So when you're approaching an X-ray, you approach with caution and you come in with that level of openness, because everything and anything can be picked. Even what you have not sensed and what you have even, perceived can also be picked. And so we're talking in relation to our mind. Why do X-rays happen? Why do they occur? X-rays are not just random happenings. They are not random procedures. There must have been triggers. So when you want to X-ray your mind, you're thinking, just like the icebreaker that we did earlier, you're wondering, what is the state of my mind at this point in time? Why do I feel this and this and this way? Why do I do this and this? Before you start going to X-ray your thoughts, before you start subjecting your thoughts to scrutiny, Even from this slide, you can see that that particular lens has a key at the bottom, because the X-ray of your mind is a key opener in itself to let you see the things that you do not even know that are there already. X-rays are like, that your mind X-ray allows you to have two tools working for you at the same time. You are able to magnify it, as seen in that picture. You can see that magnifying glass, with the key at the bottom. Thanks to, to Google, where all these credits will go for all those pictures, because we do not have, any what's it called now? We do not have legal rights, beyond assessing the, assessing the open access to all those pictures. So that picture credit goes to Google. And so when you see that magnifying glass with that key at the bottom, it tells you two things. You are not only magnifying what you think is there, what you think is the trigger, you're also having the access to do something with that key. And what you do with that access can be either positive or negative. X-rays can be used to examine most areas of your body. We're talking physically now. They are mainly used to look at the bones, the joints, even though they are sometimes used, according to NHS UK, to detect problems affecting soft tissue, such as internal organs. Problems that may be detected during an X-ray may be in various forms, different ways. They can even detect what they were not planning to come and detect. That's what the X-ray does for you. And so when we're talking in relation to your mind X-ray now, we're talking about looking at like a neuroimaging of your mindset. Like that picture says, it's like you opening up your mind, opening up your brain, and using it to see all sorts that are within. So it's like us, if for example, if you have come to the X-ray room now, for you to have your X-ray done, what you're going to be looking at is everything within the trigger, whatever it is that has affected your thoughts, whatever it is that has affected your mind, and plus everything in between, everything that has not been discovered before. You'll be able to see with the beam of that magnifying glass. And so even in medical terms, we know that neuroimaging of the brain can be used for diagnosing mental issues or mental illnesses or challenges or mental difficulties. It can also be used to predict or see how risky, to see how, to assess the risk of a human's brain in order to detect a disease. So research has it that brain scans, can be done to study the development of brain in healthy people and in people with different issues that they may not even have known about. So you find out that it cannot alone, even in medical terms, brain scans cannot alone be used to judge or, diagnose the extent of a mind issue at any point in time. It cannot, be like a standalone tool to diagnose maybe a mental illness or maybe a disorder. Yes, that's the word, a mental disorder. It cannot just work alone. So it's used in, in conjunction, in collaboration with different other tools. That's talking about the medical. But when we're X-raying our minds as human beings on the planet of the earth, as God has made us so, you are X-raying it, number one, on the basis of your spirituality, like we mentioned before. You are X-raying it on the basis of your connection to your source, who is God. You are X-raying it on the basis of your openness. And so by the time that you are X-raying all of these thoughts, X-raying all of this emotion, you will find out that there are so many things that you will discover. You will not even know that it's there. You will start to discover your character. in a more positive light or more negative light. You will start to see it more clearly. On this next slide, your everyday mind x-ray in our practical assessment, this is the crux of today's matter, shows that your thoughts are colored by what you think, by what you feel, by the things that you do, by the things that you know, your knowledge, by the things that you love to do, by the things that you really do, and by so many other things that you read, by the things that you hear, just like you're hearing today. Waking up daily is like going through God's natural radiography session, where our body and minds are refreshed. The fact that you sleep every day and you wake up, you have gone through some form of radiography session with God. And so it wakes you up every day. The difference and the leverage that you have as human beings is that you have your body and your mind has that process of recalibrating, so that every day when you wake up with fresh ideas. You wake up to, to new opportunities. You wake up to life. That is you attending God's radiography session over your period of sleep time. That is why sleep is necessary in assessing the state of your mind. Because every time you fulfill that natural law to rest, you are allowing yourself to be subjected to God's radiography session. So that by the time you're awake, you're coming up with brighter ideas. You're coming up with brighter, things and, step-by-step ways of achieving and fulfilling your destiny. You're coming up with more clarity of mind. And so minding your mind, like we say in the emotional wellness tribe, is a continuous exercise. It's not a cliche. It's not a cliche. So every time that we do mind our minds, that we mind every second, every time that you spend on your system at work, with your parents, with your family, with your children, with your spouses, even with yourself. Because minding your mind starts with you being able to have that conference with yourself, like we mentioned earlier. You should be able to enjoy your own company. Some people do not enjoy their companies by themselves. They don't know how to. They don't know how to have a conference with themselves. You should be able to enjoy your own company all by yourself. And it starts from that place of x-raying your mind. Look at this slide. You see that this is from one of the excerpts from our former Mind the Mind hangouts that we've done. Yeah. And so he talks about, from this picture, you can see that very bright yellow emoji. What can you notice from that emoji? You can please put that in the chat room. What can you notice? What jumps out at you from that emoji? So just use the chat room and just say something, Let us know what you think with this picture. What comes to mind when you see this picture? And again, the picture credit goes to Google. What comes to mind when you see this picture? Does anyone wants to share? Anyone in the chat room? Just say something. What comes to mind when you see this picture? Let's go. While you're dropping your thoughts about it, I'd like to quickly say this, that when you look critically at that picture, you can see that in the middle of all the sad emojis, you can see the shape of their mouth. Yeah. You can see that bright yellow. You can see, yeah, thank you, Daisy. Sunshine in the midst of gloom. Awesome. Awesome. Sunshine in the midst, that just sums it up. Thank you so much. Sunshine in the midst of gloom. And just by that sunshine, you can see that it does not matter that all the other colors are like a monochrome. But that bright yellow sunshine stemming up from a positive attitude and a positive emotion can change anything. And that's where your X-ray procedure, your mind X-ray procedure, that's where it begins from. Your X-ray procedure does not start from the outward, place, because your X-ray procedure, even in normal, medical terms. So it makes me think of joy and happiness, Anna. Thank you, Pastor Laide. Thank you so much. Yes. Even thinking of it now, I'm beaming with smiles because I totally get and I can relate with what you're saying. And your X-ray, it lets you know that your X-ray does not come from your appearance, from your physical nature. When you're approaching an X-ray room, like we said earlier, they are not interested in your clothes. The radiologist is not interested in whatever you're putting on. It just wants you to get on the X-ray bed to begin the procedure towards the journey to what is within. And from this emoji, you can tell a whole lot. We can make a whole presentation on just this emoji because your emotions are powerful. In the midst of all of this gloom, we can see that bright yellow sunshine. And so we're talking about the procedure of your mind X-ray. The first step is for you to assess the quality of your thoughts. It is not a new saying that the quality of your thoughts can reflect to a large extent the quality of your life. The quality of your thoughts, are they result-driven or just roaming on the streets of concern? You hear people saying, oh, I'm thinking about so many things right now. There's so much on my mind. I'm going through a lot. In short, everybody here also is coming from a lot. So if anyone is going through a lot, you are welcome to the conference of everyone coming from a lot or inside a lot as we speak, or currently going through a lot. So you're in the right place. But when you are thinking about a lot, are you just living, your emotions on the street of concern, mere concern, worry, and all of that? And when you call yourself into a conference like that, all by yourself, you are assessing the reason why all these emotions are around you. They should move from the place and the street of concern to the place of productive and positive attitude to whatever it is that you want to go, that you're going through. So that takes us to the next slide. And this is where challenging your thought patterns matter. Once you look at everything that your mind is going through, you're moving from that level of concern. You're moving to where you're beginning to challenge your thoughts. When thinking about this, I never do anything right. Maybe in your mindset, you think that, oh, I never do anything right. I feel like doing, I really feel like doing what I should not be doing right now. I have no control over my reactions. I feel like doing X, so I should go do it right now. My emotions are who I am. Everything will end badly. All I do is mess up. All these are negative thought patterns. Your emotions are not you. Your emotions are your brain processing information, telling you either you are going to tilt to the positive side or whether you are going to use that information negatively. So when people say, oh, your quality of your thoughts will determine the quality of your life, it's true to an extent. But at the end, but that little, deviation, that little appraisal of that particular, phrase or that particular statement is that anything can happen to your thought pattern in the process. Once you change your thought pattern, then the process and the outcome will change. You don't follow through a thought pattern that is just about concerns, just worries and all of that. Worries and concerns, they are very, very good, messengers. Very good messengers. If you have seen anybody not having any worry in this world, then that's the person that we should be afraid of. You don't just have a worry. You don't have anything to worry. Even the Bible tells us that we should be anxious for nothing. He knows that we have that capacity. It is God's gift to us. So people are world champion warriors, if we can put it in that way. But when you stay at that level of world champion warrior, that's where the issue is. But what you do with your worry, and you channel that worry into a positive drive to do all that you need to do to achieve your goals, then that's when you begin to change the course of your life. So instead of trying all of these limiting thoughts on the left, try the ones on the right instead. Instead of saying, oh, I never do anything right, in your mind, let your thoughts reflect that, no, that is not true. I do get some things right. And then you begin to, think about the things that you do right over the things that you do wrong. You'll find out that you're going to have a massive list of the things that you do right. You can take time to process your thoughts without reacting first, instead of, having to do things in the spur of the moment and then getting things wrong. Why not take a pause? In the school of emotions, we say that there are 5 seconds, there's a 5-second timeline between when something happens to you and when you're supposed to react or respond. That 5 seconds pause in emotional intelligence is key, and it can ruin everything that you have ever, worked for if it's not properly taken. When you need to make a decision, take that 5 seconds pause and assess it so that you will know that, oh, instead of responding right now, maybe somebody said something to you, instead of giving the person, as we say in Nigeria, that, oh, I have all the answers. I don't have to go back home to pick the answers. The answers are within me right now. Yes, we know that some people are gifted with such on-the-spot answers, but there are some on-the-spot answers that can just ruin everything that you have worked for. Which one is more easier? To take a 5 seconds pause and allow your brain process your thoughts, or spill whatever you want to say in that hot moment, and then you start apologizing later. This word apology may not be as easy as you think it is, especially when you feel that, oh, I could have done the right thing. However, it's a good thing, so that in case anyone has also done some things in a rush, maybe you have said some negative things in a rush, it's also good to make amends and do the right things. The next thought pattern that you can challenge is to learn, just say, I can learn to control how I react. And on this one, there's a difference between responding and reacting. When you respond to an issue, you are taking appropriate assessment of whatever it is in that instance. And in taking appropriate responses, it could be that, oh, it's just like, what was that show that is run about finance now? That you have the options of either phoning a friend, or you can use your lifeline, or do. Those are very positive things that you can also do. It can help you respond better instead of reacting. You can decide to phone your counselor. You can decide to phone your professional coach. You can decide to phone a trusted person that you know. You can decide to quickly just go by the fridge, take a bottle of water and take it out and drink. That could be your response in some heated moments, instead of spewing, everything out of your mouth. And then at the end of the day, you cannot take some things back. So you learn to respond appropriately to issues, even in making business decisions. Once you're following this, mind X-ray, path, you find out that it will be easier for you to assess the things that you need to do per time so that you don't make bad business decisions, so that you don't make bad parenting decisions, so that you don't make bad emotional decisions or bad spiritual decisions, so that you can do everything that you need to do at the right time. So if you're just joining in, because we're going to get to that mind, assessment part very quickly now, I'll repeat the icebreaker that we did earlier. The state of your mind right now, please scale it on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being how bad your emotions are tilting, and 10 being how well or how good they are right now. So you can just put down your score, and then before we get to that particular point in time. So if we look at the practical everyday steps that we need to do, and when we look at mapping out all these challenging thoughts and responding to them, you'll find out that the effects that you get from your x-ray every time, and I'm talking about your mind x-ray now, you will find out that the effect is minimal, unlike the medical effects of every x-ray. Even normally, medically, a standard x-ray should not give you like very worse effect, because before every x-ray is done, they would have measured the cause and the effects and seen whether it will give you some negative results or negative aftermath or negative ill health afterwards. But when you're doing your own mind x-ray by yourself, you find out that life is more easier. Life is much more easier when you do all that you need to do at every point in time. Once you assess the state of your mind, look at what you think about every single time. What do you do? What can I do to challenge these negative thoughts? What can I do to heal? The awareness of the need. I'm quickly reading from this notes here. I'm not sure if you can say it, but we're still talking about the practical assessment of our everyday mind x-ray. So bring out your results from your assessments, from what we did earlier. If the severity of your thoughts and the pain and your emotions, because you have scaled it on a scale of 0 to 10, if the severity ranges from 0 to 2, then we advise that you apply what I have termed the gears model. I use that, car model, because at least everyone has an idea, whether you drive or not. You have an idea of how a car runs. So when you apply your gears to recalibrate, either to decide to say, oh, I want to stop, I want to park, I want to do anything that you need to do, the gears model consists of praying, doing your breathing exercises. If you do not have an idea of how that works, your breathing exercises is simply, it's a simple therapy that you can use, all right, to recalibrate your mind, to free up toxic emotions. So if you do not have an idea about it before, what you do is to take in about 4 deep breaths. It can vary in different ways that we want to apply it. But for the benefit of just quickly explaining, we can take in 4 deep breaths. You count like 4 in your head when you're taking the breaths. When you're taking in that deep breath, you count 1 to 4 in your head. You hold it for another 4 seconds. And then you can decide to release it in bits and pieces up to about 6 counts. So you can have 4, 4, 6. You can have 4, 4, 4. That's 4 deep breaths. You hold it for 4 seconds and let it out for another 4 seconds. Or you can have 4 deep breaths. You can hold it for 8 seconds, let it out for another 8 seconds. So it depends on how heavy, how severe your thoughts are, or your emotions are at this point in time. So if the severity of your emotion, that's the result that you got, is ranging from 0 to 2, that means what you need to do is to pray. connect to your spirituality in whatever way that you can connect. Do your breathing exercises. Say your affirmations. We've talked about, on this other slide that talks about challenging your negative thoughts. Do your affirmations. Say your positive words. Say what you want to see. Say what you want to see. Because if what you want to see is not aligning with what you're seeing presently that is working, in your life, then you have to say that which you want to see. You speak it out into existence. You can decide to phone a friend. You can go out into nature. I like this part very well. You can go out into nature, or you can even bring nature into your home if you have maybe small green potted plants. I'm talking about live plants. I'm not talking about those fox plants, all right? I'm talking about very live plants. There's very nice therapeutic ones that help you, drain out toxicity in whatever space that you have. Peace lily is a very good one, but you need to check with your doctors anyway to be sure that you don't have allergies. If you don't have allergies with pollen and all of that, you can try, peace lily, try snake plant, try aloe vera, try any nice green plant that helps you take out toxicity from your home. So that's like one take-up tip that helps you to purify the atmosphere. It's one good natural way. That's part of the gifts that God has given us. Instead of all the aesthetics, try fresh plants, place them strategically, place them in your bathroom, place them in your room, place them by probably your windowsill or somewhere. Just place them on your office table. Just one nice small piece. Okay? After checking, checking medically that you're not allergic to any of those, then I think that will be fine. So if you cannot go out into nature as often that you want, bring nature into you. That's the GS model. If the severity, that's the result that you have with you, ranges between 3 to 7, at this point, I would suggest that you apply what I call the GS model plus air. That means air in this regard, and we cannot exhaust that list. The list is inexhaustible. You have air as professional coaching or counseling or therapy sessions, plus the GS model. Everything we have talked about in the GS model, which means that you apply your spirituality, pray, you apply everything around your spirituality, do every exercise that you know to do, all right? Do your breathing exercises, do your affirmations, phone a friend, go out into nature, bring nature into you, and, so on and so forth. There are so many things that you can apply in that GS model. And then you can add professional coaching and counseling or therapy sessions to it. But if your severity hits between 8 to 10, in that comment section, just type, if you can share your what's it called? Share your results with us so that we can take it up from here. I'll be happy to help and take you through the process more practically, because the truth is we can't cover every bit of the Mind X-ray plan on a 1-hour session like this. But this is just coming at this time to let us know that first, you're not alone. You've got a tribe of people coming from a lot. I mentioned it earlier. People going through a lot. And people who are currently in a lot. And people who have come out of that a lot. So that you can experience the peace and the clarity that comes with knowing how to channel your mind patterns. Knowing how to channel your thoughts to achieving everything that you're destined to achieve. So if your severity hits 8 to 10, apply the GS model plus the air plus the breaks. This is on that breaks level. This is where some people are lying with pillows and bed sheets on this table. If you are on that table between 8 and 10, I need you to please get off that table, because that table is about to be broken now. So many people are refusing to apply the brakes. And on that brakes level, you have take a vacation. You have take a retreat. Do a staycation. Assess your circle of influence. I like the way my husband puts it, housekeeping. Assess your circle of influence. Do your housekeeping. And of course, housekeeping is like the two sides of the same coin. Because as you're doing housekeeping, some other people would also be doing housekeeping to make sure that you are also not on that list, if you know what I mean. So your housekeeping now, in assessing your circle of influence, you may just want to check to see who have been the emotional vampires of your life. All they do is to suck you dry. All they do is they are just there. There's nothing you can do about their being there. Or there's nothing you think that you could do about their being there. But there's a whole lot that you can do. While we will not advise that probably you just, do away, if you can, fine. But the truth of the matter is there are some humans in your life that you cannot, or you may not be able to do away with in the moment. For example, if your trigger are your parents, if your trigger are your siblings, if your trigger is your spouse, if your trigger is any of your children, if your trigger is your job, if your trigger is your boss, if your trigger is maybe your partner or your colleague at work, or I'm talking about your business partner now, right? If your trigger is in human form and you are looking for how to, apply the brakes on them, what you need is just coping mechanisms, very simple coping mechanisms and coping strategies on how to work around them. While you will not be able to cut off your children or cut off your spouse or cut off your boss at work or cut off your parents or cut off your siblings, even you may be your own trigger all by yourself. And at that time, why you will not, be able to do or cut off any of these human triggers, including yourself, just find coping mechanisms that work. You can access any of our Mind12-The hangouts. On the recording is on my YouTube channel at Olurunke Oluwale. Just go search on it, especially for the very last one that we did. You will find what will help you there, just to be able to help, be able to cope with some of these triggers. Because basically, what you need at this breaks level is the whole 9 yards of pampering for yourself, for your body, for your mind, and for your soul. So on this, if the severity hits between 8 and 10, you're applying everything in the GEARS model. You're applying everything within the M model. You're applying the brakes as well. And when you do all of these things, you find out that it's easier for you to, recalibrate and come back into life. Don't forget that inside the GEARS model, you have got your sleep. It will help your mind a whole lot. There's a link that I will share. I like to share that link a lot because it's very, very good and it's free. That link, if you've gotten it probably from any of maybe any of the Mind platforms that we've had before, I'll still share it again. It's called the Mind Quiz from NHS UK. All right, I'll share the link so that we can all have access to it. Just a moment, just give me one moment. I'll share the link before we go, all right, so that we can have access to it. But at the end of the day, know that you need that awareness, that you need your personal mind X-ray first. And then once you're able to trace the trigger, that is, what are the causes? What are the things causing all these, issues with your mind that is not making you move forward? When you are able to then assess the severity, I'm trying to do a recap of everything we've talked about, right? You are aware of your need, of the need for your personal mind X-ray. You are able to trace the trigger. You are able to assess the severity of that pain, like what we just did now in this little exercise. And once you are able to, apply all the necessary things you're able to apply, remember I said that this list is not exhaustive, because you may find what works for you And it may also not work, in another situation. So the list is endless. I'm talking about the GS model now. If you want to apply, maybe add, what's it called? Doing your meditation, that's your meditation. And then we have meditation. All of this you will find within that mind exercise, okay, that I'm going to share much later. So once you do all that you need to do, go into nature, bring nature in, apply the professional coaching, counseling, therapy sessions, whatever it is that you may call it, and then apply the breaks, your vacation, your retreat, your staycation, assess your circle of influence. You may need to cut off, from some relationships if you have to, all right? If you, especially when you know that the toxicity is coming, has been coming back to back from such relationships, then there's no point. Because at the end of the day, once you are out of those toxic situations, you'll be able to breathe better, to assess where you are, and know probably how to go back or how to do the things that you need to do. If it's a relationship, probably like marital relationship, that you're just experiencing some toxic challenges at some point in time. And if the toxicity has not gone beyond the elbow, let me put it that way, then you need that. You may just need some stepping back and just reassess, take some breather, and then you'll be able to have, clear eyes. You'll be able to see with fresh eyes how to do all that you need to do part time. And then in also the next one that we talked about was, you note that as children of God, the constant factor is the God factor. And I'm not talking here because probably I'm assuming that everyone here, is a child of God. No, I'm talking because everyone on the surface of the earth has to draw their spirituality from God, who is the creator and the source at every given time, irrespective of your religion. We're not talking religion here, basically, but we're saying that the constant factor is the God factor, because that's where we draw our spirituality from. We should leverage on kingdom principles, different kingdom principles that you can leverage on, okay, to boost your dose of dose. Like my very good papi and coach would say, would boost your dose of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphin. There are different things that you can do, to boost your dopamine level. I'm talking about very positive actions. We're not talking about abuse of any substance, of any drug or anything. We're talking about doing positive things, like just, going out all by yourself into a place that you love, eating good food, pampering yourselves, doing all that you need to do. When was the last time that you went all by yourself, just by yourself alone, just to take in the atmosphere, take in the scenery, the greenery of maybe somewhere that is a very natural place? When was the last time that you did that? And so once you do all that you need to do, you will find it easier to think positively in the way you're supposed to think. And when you're able to boost that dose of dose, you would be able to fit in. When you look at this puzzle, when you look at that puzzle in the hand of that, that in the hand of that person holding it, you will know where the puzzle is supposed to fit into. Look at that picture clearly. You can see different puzzles, different jigsaws with just one piece, wondering where that one piece will go. And at every point in time, if you do not know where that one piece will go, it is easy for you to pause and think. Most times, the answers to the issues of this world are staring us in the face. The answers may lie in collaborating with someone in your business. The answers may lie in just speaking to somebody. The answers may lie in just, trying out another recipe of food away from what you're used to. The answers you want to help you mind your mind may just lie in you just sleeping at the right time. The answers you want may be in going back to that project that you have abandoned and looking at the right proposals. The answers you like may just be phoning, booking a session with a coach. The answers you want may just be to, step out of that comfort zone that you are. For some people, the answers you want may lie in going to another location, just to take in everything that God has planned for you. So whatever your answer is, you will not find it just by sitting with all the puzzles in your head, but you will find it at critically looking at your thoughts, extracting them. Remember where we started from, processing your thoughts before responding, not just reacting. And so by the time you find that answer, where that piece of puzzle will go, you will find that it will be easier, much more easier for you to fit it in somewhere here, right in the center, right, in that forehead. I don't know if we all can still see the picture, but it's there. I've just shared that link to that mind quiz that can help us. And in closing, you need to expand your emotions vocabulary. You are not your negative feelings. If you do not take away anything from here, from this mind x-ray session, you are not your feelings. You may feel angry, but you are not angry. I feel angry. I feel frustrated. Don't say, oh, I am frustrated. No, you are not your negative feelings. You feel overwhelmed. You feel frustrated. You feel angry, and that's okay. It's okay to feel all these emotions because they are there for you to feel. But what you do with them matter a lot. So I remember that your emotions are just messengers that God has put in your brain and in your mind for you to make informed and objective, decisions. Once you are able to make informed and objective decisions, then you will know what you are looking at the end of the day. Once you are able to make those informed decisions at the end of the day, you will know what you are up against at every given point in time. So that you'll be able to use your emotions vocabulary, widen it. There's so many emotions, apart from just feeling sad, feeling this one, feeling down. You can, even if you feel underwhelmed, you have not gotten to that place where you're feeling overwhelmed. It's an emotion. If you feel, elated, if you feel happy, if you feel, joyful, if you feel all these positive emotions, then those positive emotions would guide your thoughts. And they are better. You would know that they are better messengers than those negative emotions. So you are not your negative emotions. Rather, your mind and your thoughts should tilt towards the positive emotions that you feel, so that at the end of the day, you are not just, feeling joyful in a second. You embody that joy. You become the joy that you need yourself at the end of the day. You become the positive emotions, that you feel. You begin to radiate it. And when you carry so much of those positive emotions, it will help you. Note that you are not your negative emotions, okay? Because at the end of the day, you will begin to feel all that you need to feel per time. I'm going to stop sharing right now to attend to this, to be able to, okay, Staff Adekemi says I should share the link. All right, just a moment. I'm going to share the link again. Just a moment, please. Let me know if you have any questions at this point. Any questions, please? Apart from the question in the chat room, any questions, any question right now? Do we have questions? Thank you. Awesome session. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing time out with you all. We appreciate you, for everything that you've, picked up and how you participated today. So if you've got any question at all, please let me know in the chat room. I'm trying to share that link again. Where did it go now? Okay. All right. It's a mind quiz from anyone. And then we have our references, from different research articles and all of that. Okay. But feel free to reach out to me after now. Our email address is social media handle rather is at Emotional Wellness Tribe. You can DM, you can send an email to emotionalwellnesstribe@gmail.com as well. You can also reach out to me on my personal handle at Olurunke Oluwalere. Feel free also to connect. Just drop a message, drop something, for us to be able to connect after now if you need maybe more practical steps on how to go through this whole mind X-ray thing. And at the end of the day, we'll all be better for it, because if everyone on this call, have been through this mind radiology session and you're, change agents wherever you're planted on the surface of this earth, the world will be a better place. Thank you so much for being an amazing part of the tribe. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for a wonderful session today. I appreciate you all. Thank you, everyone. If there are no more sessions, this is me signing out and saying, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of the year till we see again next quarter in June. Please check, our social media handles. You will catch the replay on my YouTube channel at Olurunke Oluwalere, so that in case you have missed one or two things, you'll be able to see it from there. Have a wonderful and beautiful weekend. Bye, and keep minding your mind. Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye. Thank you so much. Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you. 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 I appreciate. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Stop the recording now.